Hello everyone, and welcome to Server Smash. Here we are again. Just before we start today, we have a special kind of guest or announcement. Well, so memorial would be the most appropriate thing. So we're going to jump over and talk to Loz and see what he has to tell us. Hello Loz, how are you doing? Poke?
He has Grandpa. Yeah, it'd be Grandpa.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. I'm now doing well.
Okay, well, we'll leave it with you, and this is for Twitch chat. Loz has an important message that he'd like to spread and kind of share with everyone, dedicate this game to a special person, so please take it away, Loz.
Thank you very much. A big thank you to the organisers of this event for allowing us to do this. Unfortunately, this is not a happy subject. One of LYF's long-serving members, who's been with us for over a year, who goes by the name of Sun Zero, is terminally ill. He posted on our forums about a month ago stating he had about a month left to live, and since then we've had no communication with him and we've not been able to get hold of him in any which way. He has very late stage Lyme's disease, which was late diagnosed and is basically untreatable. What we do know from what he did say is at the time he was in a lot of pain. So it wasn't a question of if, it was a question of when. So we would like to take this opportunity, if he ever sees this broadcast, to give a big shout out to Sun Zero, and we'd also like to dedicate our performance and the performance of Miller tonight for Sun Zero, and we'd ask the entire Planetside community to join with us in just wishing him the very best of luck, and if luck's not enough, then to go in peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Loz, and with that we'll just go to our introduction video.
Where we come from, we each fight for loyalty, for freedom, or perhaps enlightenment. But not here. Here we cast aside our disparate beliefs, our barriers and preconceived notions, and band together as a global force to engage in some of the largest competitive battles this world has ever seen. We are the squads, the platoons, the empires and servers, full of players coordinating a complex game of strategy and tactics. This is where combined arms happens. This is where war comes to play. This is Server Smash.
Alright, we're back. Thank you, Radlock, as always. It's very much appreciated. Okay, here we are in Hawson. Special game here dedicated to our good friend Sun. So, Redlin, Miller versus Cobalt. Theoretically, all three teams, Miller, Cobalt, and Connery, can make it to the finals. What do you think is going to happen today?
That is the interesting thing that we find ourselves in today. With Connery losing to Emerald yesterday, everyone is still alive. Cobalt has the easiest chance. Cobalt, it's really easy. Win and you're in. That's simple. Cobalt wins the game, they immediately move on to the championship. If Cobalt loses the game, there are lots of opportunities for them or Miller or even Connery to get into the championship game. Some of those are certainly a stretch. I believe that Miller would have to win by 74% territory today to get into the championship game, but that is not completely out of the question. It is possible that something like that could happen. So,
right. Well, we'll just go into the team today. I'll be the main caster today. That's far. Co-caster will be Redlint. Do you have an air support caster? I don't know. That's maybe an oversight. Yeah. Oh, okay. Statistics today are provided by Maelstrom, and our game referee, I do not believe is Lancer. I believe he's late or missing today. Who's our ref?
Our game referee is going to be Odin.
Ah, bummer. Okay. Well, there we go, Odin. So, bummer. Yeah, you know. We just be like, you know. Alright, never mind. I'm reading too much into that. Game rules today are nice and simple. We are playing territory control, so capture as much territory of Hawson as possible within 2 hours. The winner is determined by territory control percentage, and there's no overtime. Whoever has the most wins. It's that simple. With the added caveat, however, under our tournament rules, if Miller gets 67%, between 67% and win, but don't get 74%, then Connery, believe it or not, goes through to the championship match. And we all want to see that. That's the dream. Or, If Miller wins with 74%, I believe, is that the number, Redolent?
74 is the match.
74%, then they will go to the championship match. Or if Cobalt wins on any percentage, doesn't matter, just a win is enough, then they will be the people that go through to the championship match to play Emerald. So
And
that's that.
If Miller can win by 60%, and Cobalt still goes through the championship. So really, this is in Cobalt's court. Cobalt just has to play a strong game, and this is pretty much in the bag for them. But there are possibilities, however remote, that both other servers are still technically alive to get into the championship game.
Right. So I'm just showing the tournament standings as it is. Emerald's undefeated, fairly high kind of percentage score. Cobalt's 1 for 1, Connery's 1 for 2, Miller's 0 for 2. But theoretically, they could all be 1 for 2 depending on Miller wins, as we were saying. Yesterday's score was Emerald got 64 points. Spoiler alert, sorry. And Connery got 35 points. So it was fairly one-sided. Connery did a very good job in the middle of kind of stemming the flow, but then it just collapsed at the end again, unfortunately. It was an extremely close fight. The kill deaths were identical, which was astonishing. Just tactically and strategically, I think.
This is just an all-call. All participants are allowed to go to Hossin, stay in the warp gate, do not leave the warp gate bubble until the referee calls the start of the match.
Cheers, thank you very much. Okay, so that's the yesterday's result. A few other things, we've already shown this before. Just get them out of the way. The map timeline, a KO graph, a leadership board stats, and a progress bar as well, which we'll use to show. Oh wow, it's changed. Interesting. I need to have a talk with that. Anyway, the point is we'll be showing statistics and things throughout the game, and we'll keep you informed of how the progress goes between the Cobalt and Miller. Right. Now, with that being said, Cobalt is playing NC today from the Western Warp Gate. Miller is playing VS from the Eastern Warp Gate. And Redolent, why does nobody like playing TR? Have they got cooties or what?
Some people think that nobody's played TR. TR was actually a relatively popular choice early in Server Smash. Connery, for a long time, played exclusively as TR. Woodman played a lot of TR before they were merged in, and Cobalt has played TR. In fact, the only two servers to ever win as TR are Cobalt and Connery. Connery's won twice as them, and Cobalt has won once as TR.
I see. Right. Well, we're just going to talk on a little bit more about the tournament and maybe some Hossin meta. If Odin or Luya, could you go find our representatives from the two servers to have an interview with?
I can, and I'm about to tell everybody they can get on to Hossin as well. So
I think maybe we just heard that on all call. So, Hossin meta, we did talk about this yesterday. A lot of the fights yesterday were all 1-2 squad size, with some of them being much larger. And the first 30 minutes was crucial, really, in setting Emerald up for dominance. Are we expecting to see the same kind of level of coordination for Cobalt or Miller here? What do you think, Red?
The thing that we saw yesterday was, because there are so many connections on Hossin, it really allows for kind of, a cascading effect. You get a base, and if you can be super aggressive, having your people forward, having a small squad or an infiltrator forward, it cascades. It's a waterfall effect of you take a base, you take a base, you take a base, and there really isn't anything to stop you on either side, frankly, from that momentum in the beginning. Probably Hossin has the most important opening of any of our three continents. There are ways that you can come back and get back from a bad opening on the other two. There really are very few ways to get back from a bad opening on Hossin.
Yes, we were looking at the lanes and whatnot. So, statistically speaking, we were saying about getting 74% for Miller, which many people think is unlikely, but it's possible. They would need to push the southern lanes, all the single pointers. The single pointers up to construction at Lambda. They need to get the single pointers up to Kessel's Crossing and Norm Ravine Overpass. But the awful pit was spectacular lasher fire, but horrendous to take. And this is you basically avoiding large outposts and bases. And then the crucial point is in the middle, as we said before, where we go through Cannes Southern Labs, and that allows you single point bases, small outposts, all the way up to the warp gate. So that's going to be kind of important. I think Cobalt has a bigger job to do because Broken Veil Garrison, due to the nature of the capture point being so isolated, as we saw yesterday, was going back and forth all the time, is an important base. If you can take Southern Labs, if you're Cobalt, then you secure Broken Veil Garrison, it's not a problem. If you're Miller, you really want Broken Veil because it opens the whole gateway to the rest of Cobalt's insides. Right, I think we have our two representatives. Why don't we jump in and have a talk with them? Hello guys, how are you doing?
Hello, we're still missing Force Command. He cannot join.
the channel?
Well, in the beginning, it's we mostly just do this with a representative from each one, and then we do the force commands. That's the final interview.
Yeah, at the end.
Do you need that LF guy to do it, to do his memorial?
No, it's fine.
We already did that.
You already did it. That's fine.
Yes. So we have a rep from Cobalt and the rep who's going to be speaking for Miller. Both of you are here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So basically, welcome, guys, and I'm going to start with Cobalt first. Cobalt, you definitely have the momentum coming in here, and I'm just interested. What was your planning for going on to Hassan here?
Well, really, we just looked at the previous matches, dug into the history books to find a bit of the background of a certain Napoleon, evolved according to tactics.
Would you say that the hype on Cobalt has gotten a little bit better as the tournament's gone on, and you've realized that you are the favorites to move into the championship?
Yes and no. Sign-ups have still been going steady. Everything has still been going steady. We haven't had a shortage or anything. We've just been going rock solid, as far as I'm concerned.
Now, Miller, how do you guys embrace the role of underdog? You guys are still alive today. You need a really, really good showing. Is that something that your server has embraced here?
I think after our last two matches, we're looking to improve on the last two matches, and hopefully we can bring our better game tonight, and hopefully that'll be enough to get.
No one's seriously expecting Miller to get 74%. We'll be very impressed if they did, but ultimately there's a little element of pride here. I mean, bruised egos and emotional soul for Miller is crying out for a victory.
Yeah, I think after all the drama we've had and all, losing twice, it'd be nice to finish off the season with a win. Whether or not we can do that or not is it. But we'll give it our best shot. We're a lot better players.
Do you think you've got a strong team from Miller today? I mean, there used to be huge demand to get into server smashes, so what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we changed the selection method this time, and the outfits basically picked the outfits. Picked each other to vote. I think we picked.
Who is the sacrificial lamb, also known as the Force Commander today for Miller?
That would be Napoleon.
Okay, Napoleon. I see you're in the channel. Can you talk?
You need to get permission. Think. Someone.
There.
Hey, I'm here to offer myself up as a Miller sacrifice.
Now, Miller, you've had the experience of actually playing on Hassan twice with the merger and the original Hassan Smash. Do you think that gives you an advantage in just knowing the terrain a little bit better?
Possibly. I'd say our past two matches, they're against the same opponent. I think, Cobalt play a different game. They're like sort of Emerald. So I wouldn't say it would necessarily give us a big advantage. I'm sure they've done their homework and they'll be very aggressive today. So it's definitely going to be a tough match for us.
And Cobalt, do you have anything that you want us to look out for? Any surprises that don't ruin your tactics you can tell us about to look for?
Yeah. Miller doesn't have to be surprised if they find themselves in the warp gate. Stuck.
All right. Oh, all right. Do you have anything else, Farah?
No, I'm just fixing the scoreboards. I had the colours in the wrong way, so it looked like Miller was it was NC rather than VS, even though we said it the right way. We want to be accurate now, don't we? So yes, no, I think that's everything. I'm looking forward to a good match, and we'll definitely have a chat with you guys at the end just to see how you feel it went, and what went well, what didn't go well. So thank you very much.
All right.
Cool. Cheers.
Okay, there we go. Right, with that sorted. So, I'm currently looking at Helm's Deep, as it is, collectively known. This map, we saw there was a huge demand for Nason's Defiance, then it turned into a 1-12 fight. Do you put much value in Nason's Defiance, giving extra access to certain bases, or do you value perhaps Gurney Dam more, just to the nature of how it is?
I think that's the change that Gurney Dam that I didn't see. I knew it was going to change the fight at Gurney Dam, but changing Gurney Dam has changed the entire middle. Now, you want to take Gurney Dam and you want to take either Woodman or Broken Vale, depending on which way you're pushing to, because it locks them off from Masons. You don't have to fight at that terrible 3-point base that's going to take you 25 minutes to go ahead and cap. And Gurney is now a much easier place to contest. If you lose the foot race to the point at the first time, you can bring in air, you can bring in vehicles, you can do all sorts of things to help yourself there. And then obviously we saw yesterday, Broken Vale is one of those consistently under attack bases. Somebody would take it back, somebody would take it back. It just constantly went back and forth.
Oh, I know what's gone wrong. Sorry, my mistake. I was wondering why things were out of position. It's because I've not fixed the Windows settings. My mistake.
Why don't you play the base overview, and then you can fix some stuff while you're in
No, I fixed it again. Sorry, apologies. There we go. We're sorted. We are good. We are very good now. Yes, so you were saying about the map. I'll tell you what, how much time we got left till things? Oh, we've got plenty of time. Okay, no, we'll play the base overview.
One sec, you've got Miller as NC and Cobalt as VS on the overlay.
Thank you. And what is this? What am I doing on the stream right now? Oh, I'm changing them round just now. There you go.
It's 2 minutes, dude. 2 minutes.
Yeah. So it's fixed. There's little tweaking issues. This is why with the pre-game thing, we get it all sorted. Now, if I check the thing.
See, this is why.
There we go. See, now it's all fitting fine. I was wondering what was going on there. There we go. Sorted. I must admit, we were a little bit distracted before the stream started with some other stuff, which we'll talk to you later about. But ultimately, we're good. So,
good luck, lads.
Cheers. Do you bring an air platoon again? We saw that Emerald brought their air, but Connery had air, and for a long time during the fight, the Connery air was as big of a threat, theoretically in numbers. They weren't wiped off the face. They just chose to kind of attack and recoil, and they were going all anti-air. Yet we saw Emerald successfully ground attack.
That's the huge difference there. They both had equal numbers in the air. Emerald used its air differently, and that's there's all sorts of talk on the forums after somebody loses and they have an air put up. Oh, they didn't do anything. They were just wandering around. Well, that's not a fault of air in general. That's how you use your air. You have to be able to use your air to affect the bases on the ground. And if you can't do that because you're too busy caught up dogfighting, or because the other air is taking you out, or because they have an AA nest set up somewhere, then your air doesn't become effective on the ground, and it's basically 48 people who are just fighting up in the air. Emerald and Cobalt have both been very, very good about winning air battles and using their air to affect the ground. And if you can do that, it is an immensely, immensely powerful tool.
Exactly, and this is the thing. If Gurney Dam is important on the beginning of the start, as we say it is, I'm wondering if one team will bring more air attack, because taking it yesterday, Connery could have taken it multiple times if they had air support on the base. And that's just one instance throughout, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see how things turn out, and whether or not one server group of outfits can apply more pressure across the board through the multiple lanes, because it starts off as 7 lanes and then expands up to, could be theoretically 11 if it goes in the sort of a weird oblong kind of S shape. It gets chaotic. I mean, do you put value in guerrilla and infiltrator units? They're just being a pest. Maybe not like the infiltrator we had yesterday, who was taking a very long time to decide whether or not he wanted to go to the capture point. But you know what I'm getting at, flipping a point and just being a nuisance.
I think that however you can make your forces to have people forward at all times, whether that's you say to certain outfits that have small squads, hey, just constantly be moving forward. Here's a base, that's your goal, just constantly try and get there, ignore anything else that's going on. Whether that be you actually run 10-man squads and you have 2 people who are supposed to always be forward of that squad wherever they're attacking. There's all sorts of ways you can do that to divide your forces up, and I'm sure there's all those different places have been tried by different servers. But you need to constantly be thinking about that. Aggression and defending with time. That's something that we constantly see. If you can manage to trap people behind lines, if you can manage to spend only 2 of your forces to go and flip a point, and now it means that 48 or 96 are trapped somewhere and ineffectual, you are doing the best amount of work with people that you have, and that is how you can win with what seems like fewer numbers at a base.
Right. Okay, we didn't cover much about the south. I mean, on the southern lane, taking a biolab and taking the large outposts, typically they're very difficult to do, and you don't want to commit numbers there at the beginning, so you can assume, being a force commander, that I don't really need to defend the larger points. I just need to go... Like, for example, if you want to force the issue at construction site beta, I don't... The question is, it doesn't really lead anywhere. For Miller from the Eastern Warp Gate, it offers another link to the Offload Pit if they don't get Kettle's Crossing, but it seems to be kind of like a dead end. The important one is Akan Southern Labs, because that opens up a lot of links, but do you think we'll see some interdiction? Because Akan Biolab is probably the only base that you can't interdict at. Everywhere else is just straight up neutral in the middle territories.
And of all of the Hassan matches we've seen, there has never been a major fight over Akan. One server gives it up, and yes, there's an interdiction there, but there was never really a serious attempt by the one server to take it. That's happened in every single one I can think of. And it's an interesting move, because technically Akan doesn't sit inside of a larger lane. I think that's the reason why it's ignored. Sometimes they say, oh, well, it doesn't get us anywhere forward. But by giving up, you give the other server three or four different captures that they can get. I mean, you're basically just saying, we don't care, we're going to give that up, we're going to go fight somewhere else. Well, that means that your enemy now has 3 bases that you gave them for free.
It's technically, well, yeah, so ultimately you could call it 1 territory for free, because if the Western Warp Gate takes the data hub, even if you lose data hub, there's a large outpost preventing any further progression. And for the East Akan storage depot, they have to go through Clegg's Landing, which is also known as Sleepy Hollow in this one. We'll go off the names of the October Halloween event, because it just makes it simpler. But the fact is that by taking the Biolab, it doesn't really change anything at any more lanes, because the lanes naturally end at a large outpost that you can already attack. The real fighting goes on at Akan Southern Labs in its kind of square courtyard system going between Woodman ASC and Broken Vale Garrison. So maybe that's why there's not an emphasis, and the fact that you have to put so many resources into defending. But then again, if you've already got a team there just being a nuisance, applying pressure, if they can get to Akan Data Hub and then push to Hatcher Air Station, then you can focus on taking the middle, and you don't really mind so much, at least in the beginning, if you lose construction site beta, because ultimately you're going to get pushed back to Sleepy Hollow anyway, depending on what side you are of that attack. What about the south, though, at Treehouse of Horrors? Is that something that you feel is mandatory for the Western Warp Gate to capture, or do you think the Eastern Warp Gate really wants it so they can threaten construction site Lambda and construction site Sigma?
If you're coming from the west, you have to get Treehouse of Horrors as a block. We saw that yesterday, where by losing it early, Connery was constantly back-footed at multiple bases down there. It is a great pop sink, where if you can take that early and you can defend the far southern lanes of Four Fingers and Nanite Relay, you can leave less people than what you would expect down there. They can hop around, they can come back with air, they can do all sorts of things to allow that base to act as a block, and you can move your population somewhere else. If the Eastern Warp Gate takes that, they suddenly have multiple lanes opened up of different bases, construction site, the 2 construction sites, Whispering Pass, that they can push into. And it seems like every battle we've seen down here, the South is very removed from the rest of the battle.
Smaller forces. Sometimes you'll see large group of numbers coming in, but it's typically, again, 1 to 2 squads, or even less than that, just kind of fighting and duking it out.
It really reminds me of the Ymir lane a little bit on Esamir, where it's its own little thing. You know, it's so far away from everything else, and this is actually not far away. I don't know why the separation exists there, but it does. It seems like people stay down there, the forces don't move around, whereas the center and the north of the map, you constantly see these shifts. You'll see the air groups move back and forth. You'll see different attacks make that
Odin, you're our ref today. Do you think you should do your referee speech, and we'll get that out of the way because we're about 5 minutes to go?
I'd be happy to. This is Odin's Pride speaking on all call. Please pay careful attention as I go over the match rules. All participants